There are these phrases we hear all the time when people talk about their faith. They're sort of the go-to declarations, right? They're meant to be powerful and personal, and you hear them everywhere.
I mean, this is a big one. It's supposed to be this huge statement of who you are, a declaration that you're aligning your life with His.
And then there's this one. A simple claim, but it implies so much, right? It's supposed to mean you're trusting in something bigger than yourself, that you've surrendered control.
Now this is the cornerstone for so many. The idea that salvation is a gift, it's not something you earn. It's beautiful. But it also opens up a really deep, and let's be honest, kind of uncomfortable question.
Seriously, think about that for a second. If faith is this powerful, life-changing force we say it is, why does it so often feel like there's a huge gap between what we say and what we actually do? That's the tension we're going to dive into.
And boom, right there, the book of James just drops this line that seems to throw a wrench in everything. Justified by what he does and not by faith alone? Okay, this is where it gets really interesting.
So what on earth do we do with this? It feels like a total contradiction, doesn't it? We're taught our works don't save us, but here the Bible seems to be saying our actions are directly tied to our justification. Well, the key to unlocking this whole thing is figuring out what kind of faith James is actually talking about.
And here it is. James is making a really important distinction. He's warning us about a specific type of faith, a dead faith. It's a faith that hears God, maybe even agrees with God, but never actually moves. It's all talk, no walk. And that kind of faith, he says, has zero power to justify anyone.
All right, so this brings us to the absolute core of the issue. We've got to break down the difference between what we often call belief and what the Bible calls faith. They are not the same thing.
Just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got mental agreement. It's saying, yeah, I agree the Bible's true. But James points out that even demons have correct theology. They believe and they tremble. But it doesn't save them. Why not? Because biblical faith, true faith, is different. It's active. It doesn't just sit in your head. It produces obedience. It literally moves your feet.
And if you want the perfect picture of this, look no further than Abraham. When God called him, he didn't just write a nice journal entry about trusting God. His faith compelled him to act. He packed up and left everything he knew. He completely rearranged his future, and he even walked up a mountain ready to sacrifice his own son. His faith was a verb.
And that right there, that's it. That's justification in motion. It's not a one-time intellectual decision. It's a life of trust that is proven by action, over and over again. Okay. So if an active, moving faith is the goal, what's the risk of having a passive one? Well, it turns out the stakes are incredibly high.
And this isn't just an apostle's opinion. This comes straight from Jesus. He's the one drawing this line in the sand, making it crystal clear that just saying the right words isn't the ticket. And there's the standard. It's the one who does the will of the Father. That one little word, does, changes everything. It's the divider between those who just talk a good game and those who actually live it out.
This breaks it down so powerfully. Our disobedience basically reveals what we really have. When God says, come, and we refuse, well, that's not faith, it's just an opinion. When he says forgive, and we hang on to that bitterness, that's agreement, but there's no surrender. And when he says turn from sin, and we try to bargain, we don't have faith. We have a religious identity. Obedience is the proof.
So you see the downward spiral, right? When faith is just an idea in our heads, sin starts to feel negotiable. That sense of God's presence, His glory, it can start to feel more and more distant. And really, we end up living a contradiction, calling Jesus Lord, but refusing to let Him actually be the Lord of our lives.
So, let's flip this around. What does this living, active faith that moves actually look like? Well, the Bible gives us this really simple, really powerful pattern. Think about Noah. It all started with a word from God. Just one crazy, life-altering command in a world that had never even seen rain before. The command was simple: build. And what did he do? He built. That's it. No debate team, no waiting for the weather report to change. He heard the word and he acted on it. His faith wasn't proven by his words, but by the sound of his hammer, day after day.
Then you've got Abraham. A different command, but just as simple. Go. A single word that meant leaving behind everything and everyone he knew, with no map. Just total trust.
And he went.
His faith wasn't found in some eloquent speech about trusting God's plan. His faith was in the dust on his sandals as he walked away from his home. His obedience was his worship.
So you see the pattern? It's a 4-step path, not 3. And we're often pretty good at the first 3, right? We hear the word, we say we believe it, we even confess it. But that 4th step, obey the word, that's where the rubber meets the road. Without it, the whole thing is incomplete.
And this is where it gets really personal. It's time for a quick gut check. Who's really in the driver's seat of your life? I mean, really. Who's making the final call on your habits, your finances, your relationships? Who's defining your boundaries?
And maybe that's the ultimate question we need to ask ourselves. Not, do you believe? Because even the demons believe. The real question is, has your belief fundamentally rearranged your life? Has it moved your feet? Has it redirected your wallet? Has it rewired your heart? Because a faith that doesn't move you isn't really faith at all. But a faith that moves, that is justification in motion.